Hi guys, this is Ineke Noordhuizen with another storytelling lab. Storytelling lab number 6 already. Ooh, sun is touching my hand. 6. And the title of my personal story I'm going to share with you today is Blockhead. Where did this happen? I will show you on the map. Let me see. Here is the big map of the world. And when this happened to me, I was in the tiny, tiny country of Singapore. Let me see if you can see it on the map. Here is Singapore. Well, where's the Netherlands for reference? Oop. The Netherlands are all the way over here. Boop, 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 boop. And I was all the way over here in Singapore. I had a boyfriend, which his name was Hans. And Hans stayed in the Netherlands while I went to Singapore. This was more than 10 years ago. So I bought one of the very first webcams, which was a loose item that you could plug into your computer or laptop. And I left to do my graduation thesis in Singapore. So I was living in Singapore for 9 months to get my master's degree there. And well, I tried to keep in touch with my boyfriend, with Hans. So we tried the long distance relationship. Now, what I want to share about long distance relationships is that if you look at this in movies or you read about it in magazines, everyone always says, oh, it's so romantic and oh, they choose to wait for each other and oh, so lovely. Well, I can tell you firsthand, it was not like that. It was crap. I really missed him, big time. You could never touch, you could never hug. We had a big time difference of I think 10 or 11 hours. So that meant if we really wanted to talk through the video chat, through the video camera, that or I had to go to bed really, really late, or I had to wake up really, really early, because he was working also and we couldn't video chat while he was working. We couldn't video chat while I was working. So we always had to schedule this to be able to see each other. And the webcams then, they were not as good as, you know, the footage that you're looking at right now. Back then, there were like these huge pixels and then all of a sudden you're like that. Your frame would freeze. And that happened regularly, like in the middle of a sentence, you're trying to communicate, the frame would freeze. And you had no idea how long it would take for the internet connection to pick it up again and be able to communicate. So we really missed each other. It was really crappy to communicate this way. And we were both students. He was also finishing up his study and graduating, and I was as well. So we didn't really have a lot of money. And that's why we weren't able to visit each other sooner. But after 9 months, I remember he finally was able to buy a plane ticket and come to Singapore to meet me, and that I would be able to show what I've been talking about for 9 months. So I remember being at Changi Airport, and I remember waiting for his plane to arrive, and he walked through the doors at the gate. I saw his face, and it was so weird. He came closer, and I really had to take a second look and look again and look again. And it wasn't, again, people do not believe what movies are telling you. It wasn't like, oh, I ran to him and we kissed and hugged and everything's hunky-dory. No, he walked up to me, I looked at his face and I thought, what? Your face? Your face? What happened to your face? And I slowly started to touch his face to feel if it was real, because it didn't feel real to me. Because, well, what happened? I was used to him having a face as a blockhead. I've been looking at his face as a blockhead for 9 months, talking to him in this like little squares all arranged. So I kind of didn't recognize him. I kind of had to rediscover him and his face all over again. It was even weird to me. I needed to sit down because I needed to process this, that the face I've been looking at for the last 9 months that I love was gone when he was actually there in real life with his real face again. I know we went to the first coffee place at Changi Airport. We sat across from each other and we just looked at each other. Just like stare at each other and maybe sometimes touch the face. And I also remember like how weird it was for me that when he started talking, the image would never freeze. I was so used to the image freezing. And it was also weird that now what he was saying was actually moving in sync with his lips. And I was kind of shocked about this. And I actually needed time to get used to this again. And it took me more than 5 minutes. I think it actually took me like half a day to get used to his real face, his real voice, and the synchronicity of his lip movements with the words he was saying. And after that, it was really cool to be able to show him my life there and show him all the places I've been talking about, but he didn't have an image of, because he had never been there or he had never experienced it. So it was great sharing this experience with him. The good news is this long distance relationship did work out. Today, I'm still married to this wonderful guy, Hans, who I did long distance with more than 10 years ago. And he's the father of my 2 lovely kids. So there's your happy ending like we have in the movies. This is Storytelling Lab number 6. Blockhead. Thank you very much for listening to it, viewing it, and I'm really curious if you have any experience with long distance relationships and crappy communication when you try to communicate halfway across the world. So please let me know below in the comments and share and like this story, and I'll see you next week for another storytelling lab of one of the international creative stories. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.